Hey, welcome back to 9394, a music podcast with Travis Roy. As always, I appreciate you joining me. I have with me today my dear friend for, decades, Eric Branstrom. He is also my co-host from my other podcast, or one of my other podcasts, I guess, now that I have fucking three of them, the Cinema 9 podcast, where he and I and our good friend Mike Govier discuss older movies we haven't seen in a while and then whether or not they still hold up in our opinion. He suggested that we cover for this show the album God Shuffled His Feet from the Crash Test Dummies. So we did it. We did the thing. We listened to the album. We talked about the album. We recorded ourselves talking about the album so that you could listen to it. Here it is.
Without warning, it's like catching a sniff of tequila in the morning. But I'll try to keep my food down. It's quite an aftertaste that you've left now that you're not around.
Hi.
Hello, Travis. I'm talking like that all day?
Yeah, there's been lots of singing to my dogs, like, Armora.
I just fed you.
Got a queasy. Yeah, there's been a lot of that the last few days.
Same.
How you doing, man?
Good, and you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Having a good day so far?
Feeling old.
Feeling old.
Big 44 today.
Happy birthday, buddy.
To, going to bed at 7:30. It's going to be great.
It's your special day. You said, let's do it Friday. I'm like, okay, so I scheduled it. You know, I looked at my phone, I'm like, it's his birthday. He wants to do this on his birthday? You want to do it on your birthday? It's your day. We'll do whatever you want to do.
Hey, I'm all for it, man. Glad to be here.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, of course, for coming back to the show. This is your third visit or your second visit?
I'm the four-timers club.
Your fourth visit. All right, so
Yeah.
you did Tom Waits' Bone Machine.
That's right.
You did, hang on, don't tell me what else. Jesus. You did Weezer's Blue Album
That's right.
and Johnny Cash's American
Yeah.
Recordings. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
now you're back with God Shuffled His Feet from the Crash Test Dummies.
That's right. I did decide to pick this album.
You did. You made the choice. I'm excited to get into it with you because I feel like this is one of those albums that it needs to be on the show. It needs to be addressed. It was a big part of 1994?
93, October 93.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to start with the big question before we get into what does
lurching mean? Is that the big question?
I know what lurching means.
Finally find out?
I knew what lurching meant in 94.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, like, because of Lurch, you know? That's how I know it.
Oh,
Lurch from Addams Family?
yeah, what? So,
I mean, so like you lurch, you
it
kind of like, you know, you like slump around, right? You kind of like...
oh, I thought it meant throwing up all over the church floor for 30 years.
To lurch means like to like kind of heave your body about.
Okay, well, there you go. There's your first fun fact.
What's your favorite song on this album, Eric Branstrom?
Wow, he's coming right at it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough one because, you know, I haven't heard this album in like 25 years. I used to listen to it all the time back in the day. So for like the past 30 years, I would have told you, oh, come on, easily. I mean, this is given here. This is how it all started.
It was a big hit, right?
But this past week, I've been listening to Swimming in Your Ocean like on repeat. When
I'm sampling from your bosom, sometimes I suffer from distractions like why does God cause things like tornadoes and train wrecks? We're not swimming in your ocean, floating off concrete and scented lotions will bring it pretty sidetracked. Hope you'll understand.
I listened to the album this morning, And before the show started up again, I just went back and listened to Swimming in Your Ocean one more time just for fun, because I think it's the best song on the album, too.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. It's so good.
It's awesome. I love the way the guitar works with the vocal line. It's so catchy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember jamming to it that much back in the day, but it's one of those things that just kind of caught up with me.
It was a single, but I don't think it was a single in the U.S.
I don't remember that. I went back and looked at the video too. I don't remember this video, and I don't remember this jam that much. But yeah, this was single, and I gotta say, Afternoons and Coffee Spoons was a single.
Maybe not in the U.S.
Then,
I just remember and God Shuffles His Feet being singles. So the only singles I remember.
Yeah.
Back to Swimming in Your Ocean. I forgive maybe the worst opening line of any song I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, you imagine the band in the studio, we've got this idea for this great song, and then Brad pops in with when I'm
sampling
from your bosom.
When I'm sampling from your bosom.
Sampling from your bosom. You think they stopped and were like, is this a test line to see how you want to the melody, or are you going with this?
Is it literal? Does she have tapas on her titties? What does this mean?
That's the first line, though, and I mean. Yeah, I mean, there it is.
There it is. And then later you have the line, wondering if my seed will find purchase in your soil, which really is a cringy line as well, but it works. It works as a song.
I hope you'll understand.
And then we get this really groovy 45-second jam after Brad's done with his nonsense bozo lyrics. It's just oh man, this is fucking good. I mean, there's too much to unpack here. There's just so much to unpack. I don't know. I do remember when I first heard this band, it was on Conan.
Yeah, that's my next question was, of course, how did you get into this band?
The classic comes on. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What is this? Who is this bizarro Nick Cave? What is this face? What is this voice? What is this music that's melancholy but goofy? What is this? What is this combination?
Once there was this kid who got into an accident and couldn't come to school, but when he finally came back, his hair had turned from black into bright white. He said that it was from when the cars had smashed his soul hard. Once there was this girl who...
And then you got the album after seeing them on Conan?
Well, I got to tell you, Travis, my earliest memory of them is the Superman song, which is just their best song, period. But it's on their previous album, Ghosts That Haunt Me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I had this white cassette with a Superman song on it, and I can't remember what the B-side was. And until a few days ago, I thought the Superman song was on this album. So I'm like, oh man, that song is incredible. But I guess it was on their first album. So I guess that got me into them. And then I heard them again. I'm like, this is the same band? These guys are out of control. What is this? What is this band?
So you're listening to them before
I guess so.
It was a big video on MTV. I mean, it was really big.
Yeah.
It was almost B-Girl big. It was big.
It was huge.
Yeah. I saw that one a lot. So you picked up the album. Did you get it from Columbia House, or how'd you get it?
Music Box.
Music Box.
Brighton Mall Music Box. Yep. Dumbest cover of any CD in the 90s. It's got to be in contention.
It's bad.
There's been some stupid covers in the 90s.
I got an idea.
So dumb.
Let's take this painting and put our faces in it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Mario Paint quality superimposing. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's really stupid.
I never got into them. I heard the singles and I liked the singles just fine, but I never got into them. I never listened to the album at all until the last couple of weeks getting ready for this episode, which is kind of a shame because I do feel like there's a lot of really good stuff on here that I would have latched onto easily in the 90s. But I think that at the time, like, this was one of those bands, like, I could imagine them on one hand playing a show with like REM and Toad the Wet Sprocket and like other bands like that they would have fit in perfectly playing with them. But I could also see them playing with like Smash Mouth or or like Bare Naked Ladies. You know what I mean? Like like the kind of other end of the adult alternative spectrum that I was not as into at the time. Because even though I liked the singles, they were just a little bit goofy.
Yeah. Like, they're not cool. Like, there's a lot of, like, bozo acts. Like, they might be giants. Like, all their songs are stupid, but, like, they're cool.
Yeah, they're great. But they're still cool, but they're still
awesome.
Cool.
But,
You're
like,
right.
Crash Test Dummies, like, they're hard to contextualize, obviously. I guess it's like prog folk rock. I mean, that's as good as they can come up with. Prog folk rock.
Works for me, I
But,
guess.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I can totally see them opening for fucking, like, Randy Newman. Like it's just like goofball stuff. It's like lounge act goofball stuff that like actually sounds good. Like, the album, in my opinion, is just beautifully produced. Like, the sound is just full and vibrant. I love all the instruments.
Yeah, gotta give shout out to them producing their own album along with Jerry Harrison from Talking Heads, which this is a really lushly produced album. Very full. They did a great job. Yeah. It's very rich sounding.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Going back to the goofiness of them, their goofiness is also like couched in seriousness, right? Like singing deeply and seriously about digits and flanges. There's not like a trace of irony in his voice. Or like that song, How Do the Ducks Know?
How does a dog know what direction south is? And how to tell his wife all the other ducks? Cut a chicken's head off, and it will keep on running, twitching. When everything seems planned out, everything seems nicely planned out.
He's like singing earnestly about the wives of ducks. It's interesting. It's not bad. I like it. It's just unconventional.
It's unconventional, and it's very like literal. When I'm listening to the music, I'm not like, and I think you're the same way, I'm not like a big person that remembers lyrics. Some of my favorite songs, I have no idea what the lyrics are.
It's true. Yeah.
I tend to like just daydream and let the music wash over me. And like when I stop to listen to some of these songs and I dig up A to Z lyrics, I don't know, man. Brad Roberts is a philosophy major, so this isn't a bozo who's just like throwing darts at the wall. Like, he's singing about interesting shit, but I don't know. Some of it just comes off, and it's hard for me to like separate the like pronounced, perceived like banality from like the great music. It's just hard for me to like bifurcate the two. Like when like he comes in, like you said, with this word about like suppling a bosom, I'm just like, dude, this is what we're doing. We have this great music, and this is what you're talking about.
It's like, what the fuck is up with this lyric? But I do like it when he kind of like tells stories. Which is a tough song to say the name of, but and and God Shuffle His Feet are like easy to follow because they're these very clear stories, and they also both represent, I think the main theme on this album seems to be his struggling with God and like existence.
There's a lot of ailments and mortality and anatomy. It's a lot of like physiological type album.
Yeah, and trying to jibe that with God or like the possibility of God. It's an interesting album. No, I'm not going to pick any underrated or least favorite since I never listened to it, but what's your underrated track here?
I mean, I didn't appreciate how good God Shuffled His Feet is, the title track, till recently either.
After 7 days. He was quite tired, so God said, let there be a day just for picnics with wine and bread. He gathered up some people he had made, created blankets and laid back in the shade. The people sipped their wine, and what we got there, they asked him questions.
I think that's just a gorgeous track about, it's like, it's literal, but it's about expectations. I mean, like the creator himself hangs out and he says with some people that he made and has a picnic, and they're all like asking him what it's all about, and he's just like, dude, you tell me, like I just made you. It's a very interesting song lyrically, while also kind of being playful and buoyant, and it's got this pretty bass line. I love the song.
Yeah, I like the way that you can really imagine everything that's happening, you know, like you can just see the people kind of staring back at him and like waiting expectantly, like you say. And like God tries to say something, but it's hard to put your finger on what it means, because that's the nature of existence, I guess. Yeah, it's a cool song. I really like the opening, kind of like the way the drum track works. It's very cool.
Yeah.
I didn't pick it underrated, but probably if I were to, it would probably be this one as well. I think we're on the same page.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it's a good song. And it's a great name for an album, too. You know, and I think it, again, gets to the central issue of the album, for sure. Did you ever see these dudes live? I imagine not.
No, I never caught them live, man. They went through a lot of incarnations, I guess, and I think they're still puttering around. But
they're playing Ann Arbor on September 3rd.
Oh, no shit.
The Arc. Yeah.
Oh, the Arc. I was going to say, yeah, it has to be the Arc.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Like, I guess the third single was Afternoons and Coffee Spoons. I did not like that song, like, at all.
Is that your least favorite?
I don't know. I've got like a 3-way tie, because this is a very front-loaded album. Second half is
I disagree. I think Afternoons and Coffee Spoons works really well for me. But
does it?
A little bit of queasy. Yeah. They're doing that a lot.
There's a breeze that makes my breathing not so easy. Well, I've had my lungs checked out with x-rays. I've smelled the hospital always. Someday I'll have a disappearing hairline. Someday I'll wear pajamas in the daytime.
I heard the rattle in my bronchi. Come on, dude. Now we're just trying to rhyme shit.
That song does make me kind of think like there's a certain way of singing that came out of the 90s that became, by the early 2000s, a parody of itself. And I often attribute most blame to Darius Rucker of Hootie the Blowfish and Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam, who I love Pearl Jam, but I do feel like there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on here too, in a way that works. I do think it works. I don't think it sounds dumb or anything, but it definitely makes you think of acts that came after that may have been big Crash Test Dummies fans, like Creed, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's got to be some kind of like affectation that he's going for here. Like, I think I wrote down that he sounds like Iggy Pop voicing a Disney animal sidekick. Like, it's strange, and a lot of people dislike it, but I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's like its own instrument. It's like listening to like sitar music or something. You know what I mean?
He's got an incredibly unique voice, which this band does not exist without him. As I understand, he's the only person that's been in the band from the start anyway, but still, like, there's no question. I haven't listened to him forever, but if I just heard his voice for a second, isolated, without any music behind it, I think I'd know it was him.
Sure.
He's got a really distinct voice.
Yeah.
So what are the other two songs?
Oh... Here I Stand Before Me, the funk song about fingers, is awful. It's just about fingers.
The funk song about fingers.
Yep, that's it. About fingers, and it's not good.
It's not the most memorable song on the album. It's kind of like one that I just kind of... You're right. It's a pretty front-loaded album. It starts off really strong, and right about Here I Stand Before Me is when it starts to kind of drop off a little bit. I still think there's some good stuff that comes up later, but you're right. Like, this is very much a side A kind of album.
going back to like Brad Roberts, musically, I think these songs are just fantastic. Like, I'm reminded a lot of like Weird Al. It reminded me a lot of like Weird Al.
Yeah.
It's like Weird Al songs, like they're parodies, but like the song is good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Which he did parody of it.
Yeah, I heard about that. But like, if like, can you imagine like if those were actually Weird Al songs, you'd be like, man, this music is good, but like, what the fuck is he talking about? He's singing about like being fat? Like, is that literally what this song is about? So like, I'm getting that vibe where I'm just like, dude, maybe you could, pass the baton to someone with like, could put different spin on this. So I don't know, man. After a while, I'm just like, dude, come on, let's get serious here and actually write some lyrics.
We call them digits, so technically they're known as the phalanges.
I don't know how many backup vocals are, but there is a lot. And they're doing the best. Like, it sounds like a woman chorus, and they're like, phalanges, digits,
Yeah, I wonder if she fought him on that. Like, we have to sing about fingers.
I do imagine, like, the other bandmates, like, kind of being like, I gotta sing what now? What am I singing about?
Maybe, Island Reed is keyboards, and they did that beautiful combination of that bass baritone in her register. It's pretty. Yeah, I mean, after a while, like, it's Canadian, and Canadian has a lot of, like, great music storytellers. So if I'm, like, just comparing him to, like, Gordon Lightfoot and, like, Tragically Hip and stuff, I'm just like, dude, come on, what is with these songs? I don't know. I gotta say, like, you and I host Cinema 9, and we always talk about whether or not the movie holds up, and I don't know, man. I was getting disappointed on this one in that last 20 minutes. I was just like, the music is so good. I'm just like, man, these songs are just so dumb.
When I Go Out with Artists, I think is the last strong song on the album, and even then it's not as good as it could be, because you get again some of that kind of guitar riffage that you get on Swimming in Your Ocean that works, but it's much more reserved.
When I go out with artists, they talk about language and the cubas and the daddies, and I try to catch their meanings and keep up with all of the martinis. I don't know which should be my favorite paintings. If I could see all the symbols, unlike what they mean, maybe I could meet the artist and get to know them personally.
His tongue's in his cheek on that one, and it's like kind of fun, but I do feel like the album kind of stops there for me.
Yeah. I don't know. What kind of notes you got here?
I don't have a lot of frame of reference for this album. It's all pretty new to me. So I don't have a ton more input on this thing, to be honest with you. I do feel like it's interesting that they're still putting stuff out. Their most recent album was like 5 years ago or something. They still have a fan base, mostly in Canada, from what I can gather, in Iceland and a couple other places, which is good. I'm not rushing to go see him at the Ark on September 3rd, to be honest with you. If they were playing just this album, I'd consider it.
Yeah. Rolling Stone calls 15th most annoying song of all time.
That's rude, Rolling Stone. I mean, it's a terrible name for a song. It's just a terrible name. That's annoying, the name of the song. But it's a catchy song. I mean, there's a reason why, it reverberated across the globe when it came out.
Did you read that some of those things are from Brad Roberts' history? Like, he's got a weird birthmark that got him bullied all throughout school. And he knew a dude whose hair changed color, and it freaked him out and gave him nightmares for years. So he's writing some of this weird stuff based on some experiment. But yeah, again, he's like Bizarro Nick Cave, like this pretty voice with potential and just these bonkers lyrics. They're a little Randy Newman. There's some David Byrne in there. It's different. It's esoteric. It's very early 90s. The song, just the feel of the song still give me that warm, fuzzy feeling, a nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what this show is all about, is getting that nostalgic feeling from albums from that time. And some of those albums that we spent time with back in the early 90s, they stayed with us our whole lives, and they're like imprinted on us. And then some of them, they're nice to throw on, 25, 30 years later, and they didn't really stick with us as much, which it seems like that has been the case with God Shuffled His Feet. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was true for a lot of people that got into them around that time. I mean, you can't stay with every band for the rest of your life.
Be interested in hearing cover versions of these songs because it's so hard to separate Bread from this music. Like, I think that would be kind of cool.
There's a reason why you don't really hear people do karaoke versions of It's not an easy one to do.
Gotta have bozo voice. All right, yeah, that about wraps it up, man. I'm glad I returned to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see myself throwing it in, but, you know, I had a lot of fun back in the day, for sure.
It has its place in the zeitgeist of the time.
Sure.
It's good to revisit it. All right, are you ready for your final question of the day?
Bring it.
I didn't get too creative this time. I wasn't sure that you were going to tell me it was your birthday. I didn't know if you knew that I knew that it was your birthday. But this is the part where I was going to say happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I want to revisit our 90s birthdays together.
Okay.
It's an interesting subject, I think, that
Sure.
I've not addressed on this show before. Do you have any recollection of any of your earlier birthdays and like events that you did? And, you know, how were your 90s birthday parties?
90s birthday parties. Well, in 1990, I did get a beautiful Raphael birthday cake from Meyer.
Nice.
It was just gorgeous. That was extremely memorable.
Clearly.
I have to say, best birthday present was 1992's Atari Lynx,
Ooh.
the underrated handheld Atari version of Game Boy with
Remember
Ninja
that.
Gaiden.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Yeah, those are two big standouts for my 90s birthdays.
Did you ever have birthdays like at somewhere? Like,
You
other
know
than
what?
in the
I
house?
wasn't like a roller-rama, golfer-rama, Chuck E. Cheese, whirly ball type. I've been to some excellent birthday parties in the 90s,
Yeah.
but I was usually just in my dining room with that big cake.
The big cake, the Raphael cake.
Big cake. Yeah.
You know, I guess most of mine were, now that I think about it, most of mine were probably in my dining room too. I didn't have a lot of big birthday events. I know I had one at Striking Lanes, the local bowling alley, when I was like turning 10. So that would have been 1990.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I got like a pin, like a bowling ball pin that like everyone wrote on it, like happy birthday and that kind of stuff. So I got to keep a pin. Which is kind of funny. It's like, do they give a pin to every single? That's like, how are they going to keep their pins if they're giving pins away to every kid that has a birthday party? But anyways, that was a thing that's kind of like lived in the back of my closet until I moved out. But yeah, I don't actually remember a lot of my birthdays from the 90s either. Do you? As I was preparing this question, I'm like, maybe he'll remember better than me because these seem like big events, like big days, like things you look forward to when you're a kid that you think they would stick out in your memory better. But I don't hardly remember my birthdays that well.
I remember not liking that I was getting older, even when I was young. I do remember not liking that I was a year older, very much so. I don't know why.
Yeah. Did you used to make lists of like things that you wanted and then like give it to your parents, like a birthday wish list? Kind of like a Christmas
Yeah, the
list?
Sears wish list catalog.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What I used to do is make a list of my favorite moments of my year before my birthday. I used to do that. I try to write down 10 great things that happened that year before I turned another year.
Huh.
I really wish I still had those lists. Those would be pretty interesting to look at.
I bet those would be very interesting. And I love that you were like this introspective, like 12-year-old thinking back on your life. Yeah, but those circulars from Meyer or whatever, like, yeah, I remember doing that also. You'd like circle the stuff you want and give it to your parents and be like, there's a subtle hint. You like give them a sheet of paper with circles all over it.
Dang. Another year older, for damn sure.
What are you going to do for your birthday today? Anything besides 93, 94 podcast?
Yeah, I'm going to get some pizza and watch The Twilight Zone, go to bed at 7:30.
You were serious about the 7:30 then?
Absolutely. As those kids are in bed, it's over. I'm drained completely of all ability to do anything.
Isn't that like the only free time that you really have though, is when they're asleep?
Yep. That's the damnable misery of it.
Well, I hope you enjoy your birthday with your family. I send you birthday spankings from afar.
Excuse me? Spank? Why would you spank me?
What? You don't know
Is that
what
a
I'm
thing?
talking? Yeah. You don't
I have
remember
no clue what you're talking about.
Oh, God. That's because you didn't go out in public when you were having birthdays.
You spank people with a birthday? I might need to look this up.
When we were in, elementary school, middle school, people would like smack your ass. Like they hit your ass, like smack your ass. And like sometimes they make you like, I remember like putting kids through like a gamut, like make them run a thing. And everyone smacks their ass as they run by for their birthday. Yeah, it's a thing. But now they just punch each other instead. So like I got to, as a teacher, you are also a teacher, but I teach high schoolers. So I learned after a few years at different schools they do this. But I learned to no longer wish happy birthday to students because like all the other students would be like, yeah, they knew then. They would like beat the shit out of the kid. So I'm like, okay, so it's
Jesus. First new math and now this? What the fuck's going on here?
what the fuck is new math? Isn't that a get up kids
New
album?
math.
What?
No, new math. There's a new way to do like addition and multiplication. It's new.
What do you mean
know
no?
about it? That's like different process. You don't know about this?
There's a different way to add 2 plus 3? No, why would I know this? I don't teach third graders.
It's different tree you got to build. It's fucking nonsense.
Excuse me, tree?
Yeah, look it up. I can't explain it. I don't know how to do it.
I'm glad I teach social studies. This already sounds stupid.
Be glad.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for coming back to 93-94.
Catch you next time on this program.
We'll be back.
Bugs and trees were your food then. No pajamas, doctors.
Thank you again to Eric for coming on the show. He is a stalwart podcaster in my life. Between Cinema 9 and his frequent visits here to 93-94, I much appreciate every time I get to podcast with him. I do feel like this episode went a little weirder than some of my other episodes, if not all my other episodes, except for maybe the Ace of Base episode. And that with the Ace of Base episode and this episode with Crash Test Dummies, my guests didn't love the album as much as they thought they did, I think, going in, which ended up being an episode with more criticisms than celebration, which is what I usually aim for. But, I appreciate Eric sticking to, how he feels rather than bullshitting us. And we know that his praises for this album, that he meant those as much as he meant his criticisms. I'm always looking for new guests on the show. If you like Crash Test Dummies, maybe you like Live. Remember that band Live?
Into love for God, into fear, flame, and to burn. A crowd that has a name, and to right or wrong, and to meek or strong, it is known to scream from the wall.
This is the song Selling the Drama, which I believe was their first single from Throwing Copper. They had other bigger singles, but this was the one that kind of put them on the map in the first place. So we could talk about this album if you want to, because it came out in 1993. But we don't have to. We could talk about any album you want from the era, just so long as it's something that I haven't already covered before. If you want to be on the show, or if you just want to say hi, you can email me at 9394podcast@gmail.com. If you want to hear more of me elsewhere, talking about things other than music, you can find me on my TV podcast, where we break down different seasons of television shows, Small Screen Sessions. That podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Or you can find me and Eric and our friend Mike talking movies on the Cinema 9 podcast, which has been the podcast I've been doing since 2020. I know I've kind of gotten a little slower in putting out new episodes of 93-94. I appreciate your patience. If possible, if you find it in your time, it would mean a lot to me if you could rate or review the show, especially on Apple and Spotify. That'd mean a lot to me. But wherever you listen to podcasts, if you can click follow or rate or review, whatever you can do, it's appreciated. It means a lot. And okay, I'll leave it right there. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. A music podcast with Travis Roy, is a labor of love. It is not and never will be monetized. Please don't sue.